Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Melanin MVP. Today I am joined by Ashlee Phillips, who is a runner who just completed her section of the Selma-to-Montgomery relay, which is a 51-mile course. My goodness. She's the women's head basketball coach at Auburn University of Montgomery. So I don't know where she finds the time to run or where she finds the time to speak with me today, but I'm so glad she's here with me. Ashlee, thank you for joining me.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So you are less than a week off of the Selma-to-Montgomery relay. Talk to me about how you found your relay team and how y'all decided to go about training for this 51-mile course.
So it's actually a funny story. The relay team was originally assembled last year. And so it was more of the families that's in the Air Force. And a couple of them happened to be in our run club. So a bunch of them, they were supposed to do it last year, but I think due to we were supposed to get bad weather down this way with the tornadoes, everything, they pushed it to this year. But again, military families, they get moved, different things happen. So like half the relay team, the original relay team, was like all moved across the country. So we were at Run Club and maybe 2 days later she texted me like, hey, so we have a race in the Selma-Montgomery. Do you mind if you like want to run it? I know you've been training and stuff, but would you like to run in this relay with us? And I didn't even have to think about it. I was like, yeah, sure. What is it? After the fact that I said, yeah, sure. She was like, oh, it's Selma-to-Montgomery. And I was like, Selma what? Like, how does this work? So she broke it down, like the 51-mile relay. It's a 9-man relay team. Each person gets a certain amount of distance, and we'll pass this little chip to each other, and we'll continue. And I was like, okay. So it ended up being a whole bunch of people that was in our run club for this relay team. So a bunch of us that shows up on like Monday night. It's called MGM runs, so Montgomery runs, and we meet at different places Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, and it just kind of ended up being all of us.
So how did you get involved with the run club? Because again, you have a full-time job.
So I've been in Montgomery now for going on 3 years, and I needed. So I ran in college, if that helps. So I didn't run in college. I was a dual sport athlete. So I played basketball and ran in college. So I took a hiatus, and I do mean a hiatus. Once I was done, I was done. It did for 12 years. I did nothing. Like, not worked out, not run, not lift a weight. Like, when I was done, I was done. And I just jumped myself into coaching. So I'm one of the people, like, I finished how I want to finish. So, like, there was no regret. So then, like, when it was done, I was like, all right, cool. Like, I'm cool. And everybody tried to get me to work out and stuff. And I was like, nah, like, I got no reason to work out. Like, I don't even know what y'all want to do that for. And it started with the challenge with, I got added to an accountability group, and we was like, we're going to hold ourselves accountable to run a mile every day or walk a mile every day. And it was like the most consistent thing I can do as a coach. No matter if I was on the road or if I was home, we have practice, like I can at least commit to walking or running a mile. I mean, I'm not walking anywhere because I just feel like walking is just painful. Like, who wants to walk for 20 minutes? Not me. So I just ran mine, and then it kind of like starts slowly birthing. And, it takes 21 days to build a habit. So like that habit start building. And it got lonely running because they just made it more like I had to hold myself more accountable. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, I don't feel like running. And so I'm not going to run. And so I was like, all right, I need to find some like a run club or something. Somebody that can hold me accountable and keep me to that. And then I was just on Facebook, like, any run clubs in Montgomery, Alabama, like anything's going on there. And I happened to join MGM Run Club, and then went one random Monday night, and I was like, I don't want to be with strangers, but just doing stuff out there, and then kind of consistently going, and it had been the most same thing I did. Just being a coach, like mental health wise, like after them long days, because we run at 6 p.m. So like after those long days, I just was able to, talk to people that has absolutely no idea what my job is. So that's great. So we don't have to talk basketball because most of them are not like real sports fans, fanatics. So like that's great. And just a chance to like decompress. And now I'm out here running Selma-to-Montgomery and half marathons and 5Ks and stuff. So it's been great.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. So is your coaching job what brought you to Montgomery?
Yes, 7 years prior, I was in Connecticut coaching up there at two different Division two programs, and then got the job offer to be an assistant here at Auburn University of Montgomery, and then a year later, I got the offer to be the head coach, and so I've been the head coach for the past 2 years. So it's been a great experience.
From everything that I've heard and seen, Connecticut seems to be a great place for women's basketball.
Yes.
What was it like being in that region and that atmosphere? Because if I didn't watch the Connecticut Sun, if I didn't know anything about UConn women's basketball, I would just be like, Connecticut is like the smallest freaking state. Why are people going there for women's basketball? But then I watch the games again and I'm like, oh no, they be packing out the games.
Yes.
Like they're real fanatics and
they take it serious out there. Like it's a real thing. It was great, honestly, like to be in a town that had, which I grew up in LA, so like we had the LA Sparks, but like to be immersed in a town, like they go all out for their women's basketball teams, and then to be immersed and watch the WNBA, and like and a fun fact, like the school that I worked for at the time had a grew a partnership with the Connecticut Suns. So it was cool just to even go to a game and see our logo there, or we were able to attend a game, and just the atmosphere. Like when I say the Connecticut Suns are diehard fans, like if those games was at 8 o'clock at night, mind you, it's the East Coast. Do like everything, the whole like media games. Like I think the first game I went to was like when UConn played Don Stanley, and that game was crazy. Like playing South Carolina and just how packed it was, and that game did it till almost like midnight. And you gotta know, like Gamble is in like where they play is also like an hour and a half away from like where I was. So like even driving there, by the time you like get back, it's like 30 in the morning. But like to be at that game, like it's around 11:45, and to see all these people leave the game, old and young, it was crazy. Like the atmosphere was so crazy.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. How has it been being in Alabama as a head coach? And this is not shade to Alabama. Let me just be clear for a second. Let me give some more context for people who want to have something to say about Alabama, because I'm also currently in Alabama. Alabama, obviously, like we're known for football, but as of late, like we've been pumping out some really good women's basketball players. U of A has two recent college graduates that are in the league now that, were able to make it past training camp, which is like one of the hardest things.
Right.
And I joke with people all the time, and I hope I don't get canceled for this, but Maryland may have beat Alabama in the Sweet 16, but Alabama won in the draft because their players are still in the league. And I think that says something about that program and about the coaching and about the talent that they're putting out. Auburn may not be in the headlines right now, but they've pushed out DeWanna Bonner. They've pushed out a lot of great women's athletes as well. So being at Auburn University of Montgomery, I think it's a really interesting kind of sweet spot between those two college towns, where Montgomery is actually a real city. You're close to Birmingham. You have a little more resources. So with that context being there now, how is it being in Montgomery?
It's great. AUM is an easy like selling point. You got the 2 hours from Atlanta, and like you said, you're in the city. So much history here that you can teach them about, but as well as like you connect them back to. And it like the beauty of Division two is like it's the happy balance. Like you can have the demand of being a student athlete, but like you get your summers, you get 2 weeks off, you get 7 days off for Christmas break. So like it's a high demand, but it's the beauty of that. And then you're in a college town, 45 minutes from Auburn. You got an hour and 30, you can go to T-Town. Being able to find community in Montgomery has been huge, and being able to be connected to the city that holds so much legacy and so much history has been great. Whitewater rafting, we got the Legacy Museum, you got the Biscuit Stadium. Like Auburn comes here and play games. You come across the football team. I don't know, sometime downtown, it's always like some type of concert going on. Like, so it's stuff that happens in Montgomery that people can hold on to and then find things to do. So I think it's just a great central location. It's been great.
That's awesome. In terms of coaching, you said you took a hiatus from sports and then you came back mainly as a coach, but now as a runner as well. I presume that you had some time to study under some other coaches, not just as an athlete, but now as a professional in this space. What are some things you've learned in your coaching journey that you've had to maybe see differently or change your perspective on, coming from being the person who was being coached, now the person who's in that position to bring out the potential that you see in athletes?
I think as an athlete, you learn like who not to be as a coach. Like you kind of get that idea early on, like this is how my coach is. So like starting my coaching journey was like, all right, what did the coaches that I love, what can I grasp from them? And so like one of my core values is from like Ashlee, my track and field coach, who told us every day you control three things: your attitude, your effort, your energy. That is not in my control. That's completely in your control. If you give me your best effort, you bring the best energy, and you control your attitude, like we can make things happen. And so I pulled that from him. Like if I do those three things daily, then I can expect the same. And that's the same thing I preach to my players. Like, hey, if we do these things daily, like we can grasp. And also like me being a younger coach, like I'm not too far removed from the game, but I'm removed enough to like create that and just understand this generation. Like I take time to go on walks with the players and let them talk about any and everything. Is it too much sometimes? Absolutely. But I give them the opportunity to like be outside of basketball. And it's the time where we don't talk basketball. Like maybe they see something on Instagram, like look at this Lego set, or like, hey, maybe we got some more downtime. Maybe we stop at the mall and like let three of them go to the Lego store and we talk about that. Or, someone's into painting. I get some of the, great rat-a-tat-tat songs. Their music taste. I tell them that they're bad or good. But like different ways to connect to the players, and like what, I wish some of my coaches did is like saw me more than an athlete. As an athlete, we go through injuries. We got, mental health is being a big thing now. But being a space where they can talk to is what I pull from like other mentors, and like being the coach you wanted when you played. Does it always mean it's right? No, but like being willing to fail forward. So that was a big piece, and understanding like you don't know it all, but work and keep grinding and dig your feet in the sand with them. Like let them know you're in the battle, which one of the things that I did this year for this team was like, hey, like if we all go, like I'm all telling you to be in shape, be ready to go, like that's when I turned my running training up and was like, all right, well, I'm gonna do the same. Like we're gonna be in this together. And I ran a marathon, not to prove to myself that I could run a marathon, but I ran a marathon to prove to them that we can do anything we set our mind towards. We can push past what the hard is. Like we the only sport, and I don't care what anybody say, that goes 8 months. The same for like other sports like hockey, but like we are the sport that literally starts, it goes year round, and there's like no real time to decompress and all that. And like in Division 2, like we're from August till April. And before, if they got the summer, and then you're back in August to April. But we know like Division 1, they're there for the summer. So they may get 2 weeks off. They go from summer school, June or whatever, so first or second session. They may get 2 weeks to go home. They back in school August, official practice kickoff in September. They're on the go. You're playing until March. March bleeds into April. We know championship game is in April. And then boom, if you graduate, you're either going to the draft 2 days later, prepare for the draft process, or you're getting a week off and then you're starting postseason workouts. All right, and in between that, you got graduation and everything else. So like basketball, you gotta love it, but you also gotta find a part where you push past the hard and be resilient in that. So as a coach, I try to be understanding and hold that to that.
Some follow-up questions, because that just brought up so much for me. When I think about the WNBA schedule now, which is inevitably going to get longer as they add more teams, they're already talking about, I think this season is going to be a 52-game season, and it may bleed into November. So you're talking about April through November, like 6 to 7 months, and then maybe some time off if they're not going overseas. They're going to Unrivaled. They have maybe a month, because Unrivaled, they have to be there, I think, in like December, because play starts in January. And then, AU play starts in February. So we're really talking about 1 or 2 months off, truly. If you decide to play in another league, if you don't have an off season, you just want to chill, which is not a lot of them, unfortunately, then you get a couple more months. But as you can see, a lot of them, they'll stay kind of close to the team, practice with the team, work on different things. That is an intense schedule for a league that is very physical, that is very high IQ, that constantly requires you to upskill as a player to stay ready to play against any rotation in the league. What are your thoughts on the schedule getting longer and how coaches are going to have to adapt to players who are now adapting to a much longer, much more strenuous schedule?
Me personally, I don't think it will be as much of a jump for them, considering like they were finishing a dub and then immediately going overseas, and we knew that. And we seen the times where Sue Bird or Diana Taurasi got paid to sit out for their WNBA season so they can be ready to help get that championship at their overseas team. So I think the opportunity now is that they get to play at home. They get to play more close to their fan base. They get to play more in their family. They get to stay in the States. So, like, those 52 games, but now it sees how great, like, the coach is. Like, how's your X's and O's? How's your relationship? How are we handling, what they say in the NBA, load management? Like, how we take care of the bodies, how we're handling things. I think they were already professionals. I think where it gets a little iffy is for those rookies coming in that just finished the season, and we saw them like a Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Paige Beckers. Like, there was no break for them. Like, they were on go, and then my heart always breaks for the ones that's going through training camp, and then they have to get a makeshift graduation only for them to be cut. Like, just let me go to my graduation at this point, because, like, I appreciate it. Like, thank you for the opportunity, but, like, we only get to walk once in life. And I know some people not high on that, but I think it makes people really take care of their body, and I think this is what they wanted. They wanted to be able to be home so they didn't have to worry about going, and then you get to decide. Like, you get to decide if you want to go Unrivaled or AU or and just train. So I think, or do your endorsement deals and things like that, and still stay in shape. So I think it just gives them more of an opportunity and a chance to stay in the home front like the NBA players.
In terms of coaching, I think that's probably been one of the more underrated stories of this expansion. I think the most recent story in terms of coaching that we've seen is Nola Henry is going to the Las Vegas Aces, which is great, because obviously the Dallas Wings coaching staff is going to be changing out with the new head coach. There's a lot of coaching movement this season. There was a lot of coaching movement last season. I think it was like 11 coaches out of 12 or 13 that was up for grabs, which is crazy. And I think that's just as important as player movement, right? Because a lot of these coaches, especially in the WNBA, they have a signature style. They have a tone that they want to set for their team and for their city. And they do a lot to shape the identity of a team. I'm not saying that players don't and that player leadership isn't important. I'm not saying that at all. But, in the WNBA, when we look at the Sparks, for example, they have a very distinct, a lot of their players are very tall and lanky. They have a very distinct play style. And so if you are a player that's coming in trying to fit into a team, which is very important in the W, not when you get drafted, the fit of the team, you are looking at the coach. That's a very important part of that. Do you have any thoughts on how coaching in the W has shaped out, for better, for worse, with a lot of Black women coaches not really getting a lot of positions in a lot of these shakeouts that have happened over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I think I feel like a league that is very diverse, and that push for every equality in every possible way. Like, yes, there's a side of like pick the best person that's right for the job, absolutely. But in a league, it's also that some of these legends built is like, why can't they get an opportunity to be successful and do something in a league that they helped build, whether they're head coaches or top assistants? Like, give them a chance. And I know a lot of people goes off experience, like, well, this person doesn't have coaching experience. Well, all the time, if we don't get an opportunity to do it, then we will never get the experience to do it. And I know like a lot of them have to go the college route, or they have to go do player development and then work their way through that process. And so I think giving our Black coaches a chance and opportunity, but also understanding that you're not going to get somebody that's ready. Was I fully ready to be a head coach? Absolutely not. Like, I don't know what I don't know until I was in that seat. So, like, you as an assistant, you got all these things of, like, how you can be better, what that look like. And then when you got that seat's a lot different. You see things from a different lens. You see how you want to pour into this player. You see what offense you want to run. Do you have to shape some of the things you do because you got this type of skill player? And your front office is like, no, this person is staying. So yeah, you have to adjust your coaching style and things like that. And it's no different in college basketball. When you got boosters and things like, oh no, like this kid stays in the program. You got to work around that and figure out how that goes ins and out. And the same in the WNBA. But like, I think a lot of times when we're talking about giving Black head coaches the opportunity, they always go back to the easy route of like experience. It's like, just give them opportunity to do something and be somebody. And then we know all the games are different. Professional is definitely different from college. The pace of the game, the style, European style offense practices, things like that. More fundamental sound. There's different things, and we all know, like, watching different conferences, like the level of play is different as well. It's definitely an exciting game. It's great to watch, and like we're giving people opportunities to do, and they either fell forward or you open the door for somebody else. We got the Upshot League coming up out too. We got Taj McWilliams in that, and she's great. I had an opportunity to Taj. She's an amazing person. But like being able to like, they are pretty much like finding avenues the same way men have avenues to go. Like, they're like, oh, like, I want to play professionally, but like they got options. It ain't just overseas. Like, now they can go onto these one-on-one teams, so YouTube stuff, like content creator, like people are all given an opportunity to fall in love with this orange ball and do something with that orange ball to create, them wealth and different avenues and different things that they want out of life. And I think that's the same for basketball. And I think it's slowly happening in coaching. Just seeing Tanisha Wright get the Penn State job, like, we're figuring it out. We're finding our places, and once we get there, it's a lot of weight on our shoulder as African American coaches so the next person can get an opportunity. Like, you do good, so the next person behind you can get opportunity. And I think that's what a lot of African American coaches, Black coaches do, is that they want to be able to open the door for another person to come right there behind them. And at the end of the day, if that's whoever's the best person capable for the job, person capable for the job, but also be willing to take risks. And I think that's where a lot of organizations, they kind of just in the limbo. Like, they want to probably take a risk, but they also need to get season tickets sold, and they need different things in that nature, like the business side of it. But yeah, can't do nothing. We can't get experience.
Yeah. And I want to clarify a couple of things. You're not saying that they should get it just because they were a WNBA player.
No.
You're saying that because they were a WNBA player and because they've been in the league for a long time, that should be considered part of their experience when it comes to coaching, which I agree with. And I think like social media is interesting because I think the conversations maybe aren't as maybe robust, because a lot of the people that maybe were watching the WNBA when Cheryl Swoops was playing and Lisa Leslie were playing, and now they're kind of seeing how they're being treated. Like, they may not be on social media talking about it, but I know for me, if and when Chelsea Gray retires, and if Chelsea Gray wants a head coaching job and I hear she doesn't have experience coaching, I might actually lose it. Like, I might actually write a stern letter to somebody. I might actually go crazy, because that would be insane to me for Chelsea Gray to not have an opportunity to be a coach, be an assistant coach, whatever. So I think there are people out there who probably feel the same about the Lisa Leslies, the Cheryl Swoops, the former players who want to be coaches that have not maybe had their just due and getting an opportunity. I just think that, again, there's not that many of them on social media to like make it a bigger story than what it is.
And that's the part of like knowing the history of the game and knowing what's in front. Like, it's so funny the past 4 years, the Caitlin Clark frenzy and all this stuff like that. It was just like, oh, like this, and like, why they do that? And it's like, that's kind of been the game. Like, did you not know Candace Parker won Rookie of the Year, MVP first year? Like, where were y'all at? Like, did you not know the Houston Comets was back-to-back championship? I'm thankful that ESPN and everybody else is not giving these women their flowers. Like, they literally walked, crawled, fought, you know what I'm saying? Bled, sweat, tears for our game to be what it is. Just the small feat to like, Title IX, like being able to play the sport. Like for Pat Summitt only to make certain about her buddy, and she was doing the laundry and all this stuff, and we know that she is this legend that she is today. Like they're there. Dawn Stanley, like being able to do something like Asia Wilson talks about, like being at South Carolina, a school that her grandmother couldn't even, the campus her grandmother couldn't walk on. Like the history of what, women's basketball is and like the foundation and like all these people before us is just like, no, like the game has been a good product. We've been waiting for you guys to join the product. Like it's been there. They've done it. It's just exciting. Like we don't need a Lord of the Rings. We don't need no donkey. We don't need a da-da-da. Like the game is exciting. Like just enjoy the game, the beauty of the game that we all fell in love with. It just like comes up to me, like respect it. And I think social media get caught up in it. As a coach, sometimes I get on Twitter like, you want to reply, be like, do you even know what you're talking about? Like, but like you can't do that. Obviously, you gotta be careful what you say. But like telling the coach, like, oh, like you need to go get this kid out the trash. Like, very well, this kid may drop 20 points, but this kid may not be great functional wise for that sisterhood. And it's okay. Like, understand that. And so, like, that just my small little mini soapbox on that. But social media, they get in it, but it's just like, hey, like, again, you don't know what you don't know. Like you know what you see, but you don't know the whole backstories or the backside and all that stuff. So I kind of laugh sometimes with people like, why should they get a job? Like, do you not know what Lisa Leslie did? Like, do you not know, different exciting things? Like, do you not know Cheryl Swoops? And then now you get these ESPNs and they're like, oh, like, yeah, like Reggie Miller was the top dog in this house. It was Cheryl Miller. Like small things like that. And I think it's funny. It's great that we created avenues and things for people to tell their story, how they want to tell it. And now we are connecting the game, the older generation to the younger, and we're finding a happy medium. And I think that's what the game is all about.
I want to end on this question because I think it's particularly relevant for probably some of the younger crowd watching this and maybe some of the middle-aged crowd watching this. You said that you ended your college athletic career on the note that you wanted to end on. You had no regrets. You were not afraid of what came after your time as an athlete. And now you're a coach. So you're still connected to the game, just in a different way. What would you have to share with college athletes who may be closing in on the end of their senior year? We're recording this on March 26th. So closing in on the last semester of their senior year, and who may not see themselves going to the league and maybe transitioning out of playing sports on a regular basis or even at a semi-pro level. What would you say to them? And what would you say to people who maybe still want to be connected to the game and be a part of maybe a coaching staff in the future? I
think it goes back to that NCAA commercial, like highlighting that you're going to go professional with something else. Whether, it's talked about in your team or your staff, but like, I got engineering in my program. I got future nurses in my program. I got future doctors. I got future lawyers. I have people that just want to work, like walk dogs, like highlight those things that they want to do as professionals because that's their professional way. That's them stepping away from the game. And like me as a coach, like I promote that. Like, instead of we going to the big old walls that be a college campus and like NBA player, WNBA player, like put that doctor up there that won, 2 awards for, their paper. Like, change the way we do cycling. Like, highlight all those things that those people that were in that program. And I guarantee that moral will be completely filled in no space because now you're highlighting what they did. I think a lot of people look back to when their college career is over that they feel like that because there's a part of their identity that was wrapped in basketball. And nobody told them or taught them that there's so much more outside of basketball than you just being a basketball player in this program. Like, there's so much more to you. There's so much. You bring so much other things to the table. And I think I just had coaches who reminded us that, like, hey, like, there's so much more of the special. Like, let me know Ashlee and not this track athlete, this basketball player. Like, tell me your real hopes and dreams. And, like, I tell my players, like, hey, like, we got a workshop tonight for interview questions and prepare your LinkedIn page. Let's go to that. Like, let's prepare yourself for that. And so I think a lot of people, when these seniors get to this part, like, somebody should have been having conversations or even starting conversations now. Hey, all right, what we finna do with this degree? You international studies? All right, like, what avenues? Let's look up some things. How can we maneuver it? Okay, you don't really think you want to use that, but you want to be a part of sports. We have grown so much that, like, you could be a social media marketing person, you could be the newsletter, you could be the person taking photos. Like, there's so many ways to be involved in women's sports now that I think you can find a way to find your voice to get there. And there's no one set way to do things. Is one. And what was the second part of the question?
For people who want to stay involved in the sport through coaching, like if they want to transition from being an athlete to a coach?
I think you want to transition from being an athlete to a coach. I think you find your mentor, you find your coaches, you connect with the AAU team, you connect with your college coach, you ask them questions. I think what kind of helped kickstart my journey that I tore my ACL going into my senior year, the recovery process. So then I was able to see the game in you're on the sideline, you see the game a whole lot different than when you're on the court. When you think your coach is tripping, and then you're like, ooh, okay, I saw that right there too. So I think that ignited the passion in me from there. So, like, even being a student of the game, like, just going to scout, but like, I know some student athletes talk about now that they were with the video coordinator. And while they were breaking and clipping things and asking questions like, hey, like, how you clip that? How you do that? Why did you do it that way? What about this play? Why didn't that play fit? So asking those questions and, like, getting involved. AAU, youth league. I know AAU is a little crazy. Youth sports, finding different things. There's multiple things you can do with basketball video coordinator. If you wants to do the video side and be in the background, you got your director of ops. If you want to be the person to make sure the team eats, you get to travel down, everybody gets where they got to be, flights, everything. You got that option. If you want to be an assistant coach, if you are in player development, I know biggest thing that Coach always tell me, like, you gotta have, like, recruit, but, like, you don't become recruiter level until, like, later, like, when you earned your stripes. Like, when you can be the top recruiter after you earn your stripes and that trust with that coach. Like, and to be honest, they say Black coaches are great recruiters, but at the same time, be more than just a recruiter. Start building your portfolio early, like what plays you will run. Start looking up different sets. I'll be on Twitter every day, saving different sets during March Madness. Like, oh, well, that's a good out of bound play. Just pulling from that. So pulling the same way, being a student, and then learning how to go to workshops, get your resume done, get your cover letters done. When people are asking for graduate assistants, be willing to do the graduate assistant job. I know there's a part where you got to make money, like, trust me. But there's the other part where we talk about paid our dues. I didn't say go pay your dues and not make money, but find a way. I mean, my first job only made $1,000, but I found a way. I wanted to be in this business, and I found a way to make it work. Of me, working overnight. Do you have to do that? No, that was just the way I decided to do that way. There's so many other options for you now to create extra income so you can supplement if you get paid, if you're not. But being willing to take those volunteer jobs if finances and things allow, and be able to take those chances. So if you want to be involved in it, sometimes you got to do little things, the things that don't really shine in the beginning to get to it, where you want to be.
Okay. I like that. I appreciate that. I did lie. I do have one more question because
Go
you
ahead.
mentioned it. So now I got to ask, who are you thinking is going to win it all for women's college basketball?
Oh, no, they're gonna get me. They're gonna get me. The people gonna get me. If I have to pick, it's a toss up. It's between South Carolina and UConn. If I had to say they have to win it all, I think it's between those two. I think it's so many great teams in the Sweet 16. It might get real iffy who makes the Elite Eight and all that stuff, but I think UConn is just they're on a different level from everybody. I think UCLA is moving in the correct direction. Then I think South Carolina they're hungry. They're just young and hungry. And I think them and UConn are just like it's battle tested. And so I think I would like to see that in the Final Four. And whoever wins out of that side of the bracket is the one that's going to win it all, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah. Who you got? You can't ask me. You'll pick yours.
Okay. In my idealistic Durhamite mind, I want Duke to win it all. I know it's probably not realistic, but
I see though.
I think, like, honestly, when I look back at last year's tournament, Duke only lost to South Carolina. Did not beat Duke. Duke beat themselves. Like, they had some
turnovers. Yes,
they had some mistakes late in the game.
Yes,
it was some weird stuff going on. For the the last 6 minutes of the game is where they lost it, and I was hooping and hollering and screaming like, "What's going on with this breakdown in communication right now?" So I think, like, if Duke cannot beat themselves, I think Duke is gonna go far. Can they match the physicality of UConn? I don't know. Yeah. Fournier is still a little tiny. Fournier is good though, but that's a whole other story. But outside of that, if Duke doesn't win, then I'm hoping that South Carolina takes it. But that's just my wild imagination.
Nothing wrong with that. I like it.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for giving me your predictions on this year's championship.
Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to talk with you, chat with you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.